Whether you like the video or not, subscribe. Oh, and stick around for a dorky joke. The question for this episode is, what were my personal experiences trying to start a business or become self-employed? And if I've got advice for others, what is it? Let's start off with what I've done and what has and hasn't worked. So first, the first business that I did was just me. I know a lot of tech stuff, so this was basically small and home business computers setups for almost about 10 years. It was rather successful. Twice in my life, it actually almost replaced my full-time job. But each time I moved, once to California and then again to Colorado. So once I get it going up against here in Colorado, I'm sure it'll be successful again. So this was successful for a few reasons. One, I was undercutting people around me. There's a few dangers in doing that, which I'll go over, and I was offering services also that were specific to my skill set. I would refuse jobs that were beyond what I could do, and also in environments that I suspected I didn't want to be in, like big corporations. Then amongst the small business crowd, my services would be shared word of mouth, and that also increases your likelihood of getting clients. So lesson number one, do what you know. Refuse what you don't know. And keep your costs as low as possible, even if it means growing slowly. Undercutting is dangerous because it's hard to increase prices after you've set them. It's a lot easier to reduce them. So avoid doing this unless you have an understanding of what you're doing. I didn't have any certificates. I didn't have any kind of liability insurance. I was just trying to replace my normal job. So that being my goal, I just wanted to kind of replace that dollar amount. So I was twice my kind of hourly rate at that point in time. Could work half as much doing something I love instead of something I didn't. As soon as I could make as much as I was doing my full-time job, I was going to quit. Now, if you're going to do this kind of work, make sure everyone around you is on board, especially your partner, because if they're not, you're just going to have constant conflicts during the process. You're going to want to develop time, support, and sharing with them and a plan of action for those. Since I've helped with two other businesses, the other two, one was a coffee company, and I love coffee, but everyone decided to move to different states. So otherwise it was successful because we all had our own role. We all had our willingness to work. We split it, and we also kept one another accountable. So we set guidelines and plans about what we were going to do. Now the third company I'm mostly out of, my business partner had a really great idea for the company. I helped to optimize it and helped to grow it. During that time, we realized that the great idea wasn't sellable or marketable. It's too expensive. So we've been working on a smaller version of that, something basic. So a great idea may not be affordable. This is lesson number 2. So do some research to come up with a minimum viable product. That's the smallest, cheapest part of your idea that you can still sell. Overall, what I recommend is for people to find something you do already. It doesn't have to be unique. It doesn't even have to be good. Just something you can do over and over again. If that's hand-making jewelry with rocks and wire that you find while you're walking around, do that. If you draw characters from a comic or movie in compromising positions, do that. It doesn't matter if it's good. Just make them and find a target audience later. If you clean your own house, go and clean other people's. Do some research and find out what other people are charging and charge similarly. Don't worry about your own mistakes or skill levels up front. Just provide a service. Potentially look at some low-level liability insurance if you're worried, especially if you're going into other people's homes. Ask friends and families to volunteer for you to clean a room of theirs, and then have them do a real review of you. Do things that don't cost much, if any at all, for testing, and then start doing it for real. It's not about the idea or the quality up front. It's about executing on the plan and making changes as you go. All these guides on sales, selling you a book, selling you a CD, selling you a subscription, selling you some bullcrap inspirational talking points. That's their business. Making up bull that people buy. Have a plan for recovering after pitfalls. The biggest pitfalls are joining up with people that you don't know very well or that you're not very honest to yourself about. If you have a friend, for instance, who's lazy, don't have them help you come clean a house. Don't bring them along, even if they ask. If you have a spouse, a partner, a roommate who's always bothering you for more time, or gets you distracted, or makes you feel bad for not paying attention to them, first explain why are you doing it. Second, give them a warning that this is how it's going to be for your future, for what you need to do to get this going. Whether that means finding a quiet place for yourself, whether it's leaving them alone. Last advice: find people who jump on board, make space for you, and encourage you to succeed. Keep them around. They are worth their weight in Mona Lisas. Now for the dorky joke of this episode. What is the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle? A tire. Till next time.